Frederick Valles. I'm one of the founders of Optmyzr. Thank you for trying out Optmyzr and becoming a new user. So the session we're going to have now is an overview of Optmyzr, and it's geared at people who just signed up for their own account. So you might be a trial user, or you might have just joined somebody's existing Optmyzr team and be a new user on that account. So let's do a few items of housekeeping before we dive into the content. So we are recording this session, and we'll send you a video after the session ends in about 1 or 2 days, so you can expect it in your inbox, and you're welcome to share it with anyone who you think would benefit from this. This is a session for you, so if you have any questions, I would like you to ask them to make sure you get the most from this. We have a question and answer window, so go ahead, put your questions in there, and then we will do our best to answer them either on the call, or if we can't do it on the call, we'll follow up through email. And if it turns out that you would like a one-on-one follow-up session, maybe go in depth a little bit more on some of the features that we talked about, maybe talk a little bit specifically about your situation, we're happy to do that too. So just to get that on the books, email support@optmyzr.com and request that one-on-one follow-up. And then we speak at conferences like SMX, HeroCon, PubCon, many others. So if you want to meet us in person, if you go to any of those, look us up, let us know you're going to be joining. In fact, we have a Facebook group. It's a private group called Super Optimizers, and that's where we announce where we're going to be, and it's a good way for you to also tell us where you're going to be so we can meet in person. And then I personally blog on Search Engine Land about once a month, so anything I'm thinking about the PPC industry, that's a good place to see some tips. So it's not really Optmyzr specific, it's more about best practices. Here and there I share a free script. So there's some pretty good stuff hopefully on that, and I would love it if you would follow that blog. So the agenda for the call today is we're going to take a look at the Optmyzr interface, and we're going to start with the MCC dashboard. So that's going to be the jumping off point, and then we'll show you the account dashboard. And then we'll go into the key areas of the tool. So data insights, workouts and OneClick Optimization, reporting, and finally we'll talk about enhanced scripts. Now we have a lot of different tools, so I'm not going to be able to show you everything. But my goal for today is to give you a flavor of what each of the different areas of the tool do and how they should be able to help you. So with that, I am going to turn on the screen share of one of the Optmyzr accounts. And then we'll do a live demo right now. So here we go. So to log into our system, just go to optmyzr.com. In the top right, that's where you got the login button. So that will take you into our system. And we're going to start you off at the MCC dashboard. So the MCC dashboard is kind of like what Google has, My Client Center dashboard, except ours connects to a few data sources. Ours connects not only to AdWords, but also to Bing Ads. And we can also integrate with Facebook, Google Analytics, and Google Merchant Center. We also have integrations with Google Spreadsheets. Now, what you see on this dashboard currently, these are Google AdWords accounts as well as Bing Ads accounts. And you can have different views of these. So you notice I've starred a few of my favorite accounts. And when you have a lot of accounts, this is a good way for you to see the ones that you specifically care about. And maybe one of your team members has a different set of starred accounts, or it could be the same, right? So anyone on the team can have their own view of what they like to see. If you just want to look at AdWords accounts or just at Bing accounts, you can look right there. If you have a new account that you just started managing, you can link it from right there. And this can even connect to different logins. So if you have a prospective new client who has not connected to your AdWords MCC, but they've just given you a private login, well, you can connect that as well. So you can have as many AdWords accounts and Bing accounts connected as you need to be able to do what you want to do. Now, the view that I have here is including a few columns, but you can customize this. So customize it by going in here. For example, you could say who the account owner is, whether you want to see some notes, monthly budget, percentage towards monthly budget. All of these goals, these are data points from Google Analytics. So a nice way to bring together a variety of different data sources. So when you look at this here, so I can set my monthly budget. And by the way, editing monthly budgets is very quick. I can do it one account at a time, or I can do bulk editing like right here. So if this account actually had a $300,000 budget, I can very quickly update it like that. And then I can see for a 30-day period, in this case, we're spending about 53% of that monthly budget. Now I could also change that to the current month, and then I would see how far along we are for this current month towards hitting that budget. So it would give me a better idea of what was ahead of the budget and what was behind on delivering the budget that we wanted to. You can also leave some notes. So these notes are helpful if you have multiple team members. So maybe you just had a conversation with a client or a manager. And so if they just told you that the CPA goal had shifted, this would be a great place to put that so that everybody on the team is on the same page. So this is your starting point. From here, let's jump into one specific account and show you what we can do with that. So the first page we're going to go to is the account dashboard. So not the MCC dashboard, but just the individual account dashboard. So on the individual account dashboard, we have a couple of metrics. So you have a little spark line, so you can see how the return on ad spend has been changing, how the number of conversions has been changing. And we will automatically pick up whether this is an e-commerce account or a lead gen account. And so based on that, we'll show you the correct view. If you did want to change the view, you can do it from right here. And basically, if you go into the sales view, we look at conversion value, and we look at return on ad spend. If you look at the leads view, then we look at the number of leads and the cost per acquisition. And if you don't have any conversion data, then we would look at the traffic view. So there we would focus on clicks, impressions, and click-through rates. Now, if you want to see all of your data, you can click right there, see all of the relevant metrics for this account, but you don't have the spark lines in that case. Once you set up reporting, which I'll show you how to do, you can also see which reports are ready. A couple of optimization suggestions. So here, these are a couple of optimizations you could quickly do on the account to improve its performance. These are part of account workouts and OneClick optimizations, and I will show both of them to you in just a minute. So this is the dashboard. Another thing that's kind of nice to do on here is look at your device or network distribution. So here you could, for example, see how much conversion value is being driven on different devices. So we can see here that the conversion value on mobile devices, the red section, is 41%. However, the cost is 52% on mobile devices. So that tells me that mobile devices are a little bit expensive right now. They drive a lot of value, but maybe we're paying a little bit too much for that relative to what we're paying on desktop devices. So that could inform me of a certain optimization that I could want to do. And then, of course, as you get to know Optmyzr a little bit better, you'll know that if you wanted to have better performance across devices, you could come to bid management and use our device bid adjustment tool. So anyway, this is supposed to give you a few insights, and this is part of data insights. Now, data insights are really all about visualizing something that exists in the engine and making it easier for you to understand. So what Optmyzr does is we make a real-time connection into the engine, whether it's AdWords or Bing Ads, and we pull the data. So whatever data we pull, that's the same that you would have seen directly in the engine, and then we help you visualize it. So let me give you a good example. So here we have the PPC Investigator under Data Insights. And what this does is it helps us answer some really interesting questions. So if we wanted to know why my conversions for the previous month had changed versus the same month of the last year, or some variation of that question, it's very easy for me to do so. I just ask that question. And sorry, we lost the setting right here. So last month versus the same period last year. Here we go. So now we can see that year over year for the last month, our conversions are up by 38%. Now, why do conversions happen? Well, they happen because you get a click and the click converts. So we've taken these two metrics and put them right below. So we can see the clicks were up, but just slightly. And most of that improvement in conversions is actually because the conversion rate improved dramatically. Now, what about these clicks? Well, clicks are driven by impressions and people deciding to click on them, so CTR. And the CPC that you're paying also has something to do with that because it influences your rank. So we can see that our clicks are up despite the impressions being down very significantly. So basically what we're doing here is we are simply connecting the dots to make it easier to understand. You can run the same analysis across a subset of your campaigns, a subset of your ad groups. The easiest way to do this is you can search by something the campaign names have in common, or you can look at specific labels that you've already attached inside of AdWords to your campaign. So I could say for all of my branded search campaigns, whichever ones those are, we already know which ones those are, and literally less than 10 seconds later, I'm going to have an answer to that question. So within the branded search campaigns, the conversions are actually down by about 6%. You can also change the question based on networks. So if you think impressions are being driven very significantly by the display network, you could take that out of the equation. Now, in this case, this campaign is not running on the display network, so it's an irrelevant question, but it's very easy to change what you're asking us about and very quickly getting new data. And again, this is a data insight, so hopefully it helps you understand something about what's happening with conversion rate, click-through rate, impressions. But we don't tell you what to do about this because there could be different actions. So based on these actions, you can then go into different tools, whether that's a tool inside of Optmyzr or a tool inside of AdWords to help you address those issues. So another really popular data insight we have is the quality score tracker. This is a historical quality score tracking tool. We take a daily snapshot of every keyword's quality score. And we've been doing this well before Google even started to have historical quality scores in their system. But we actually visualize this data in a way that's far more interesting than AdWords does it. So here at a glance, I can see for the last week, I haven't had much quality score change at this account. So we have an account level quality score. I can also figure out very quickly that at the account level, ad relevance is my weakest component and my landing page experience is really good. I can see that currently I have 1,200 keywords at a keyword quality score of 6, and last week it was only about 1,000. So you can see how things have changed. You can see what kind of breakdowns. You can even figure out how that breaks down by the number of impressions. So here you can see the majority of my impressions in this account come at a quality score of 8, and only a handful of impressions come at a quality score of 1. Now what do you do with this? Well, you want to optimize. So you could either look through this chart here, this tree on the left, and you can see about flip-flops that has a yellow quality score. So maybe that's not great. So I can go and look for anything that's red. There's not a whole lot of red in this account, but I could look at the yellows and go and fix those. Now the other thing I could do, and the way I actually prefer to use it, is I look at ad groups. So let's look at ad group level quality score. You can do the same for campaigns, by the way, but ad groups are more actionable. So what I would look at is over the last week, what has changed? Okay, so even though this has a decent quality score in the account, and this particular ad group has a decent quality score of a 6.9, it actually was my biggest decliner in the past week. Now I can go and figure out what happened. I can click on that ad group and I can see its historical quality score. I can dive into the keywords for that specific ad group, and maybe I can figure out I added a new keyword that's not performing so well. I can also correlate that to certain dates. So if I notice that 3 days ago things really started to go in the wrong direction, I can look at my change history. I can figure out what happened 3 days ago that caused this to change. And so here we can see there's in particular 2 keywords that are not great from a quality score perspective. And this one has a decent number of impressions. So maybe that is a keyword that would be better off being removed or being in an ad group by itself where it has a better ad text and a better landing page, because you can see the ad relevance and the landing page experience for these is actually quite low. So this helps you inform you about what you could do better in the account. So that is data insights. Now next, let me take you into one-click optimizations. So one-click optimizations are taking the data insight and the analysis one step further. In this case, we're also going to tell you what a typical account manager would have done as a result of learning something. So when it comes, for example, to A/B testing for ads, well, we all want to get rid of poor CTR performers, poor conversion rate performers, because that's costing us potential conversions. So how we do this is we look with a statistical calculation at each ad text in each ad group, and we find the winners and the losers, and we color code those. So you can see here in this particular ad group, this is a statistically significant losing ad text on a CTR basis. Now in this next ad group, the CTR is actually too close to call statistically at 95% confidence. But when it comes to conversion rate and conversions per impression, we do have a winner and a loser. So the first ad is my winner. So now what I can go and do based on this is duplicate the winning ad and maybe make some new ad text variations. What it does is it shows you the best performing elements on the right hand side, and it makes it really easy to put these in. So I could take this piece of ad text and very easily create a new ad text variation. And then this is a one-click optimization, because based on finding the CTR losers between legacy and expanded ads, I can literally click one button and it's going to remove all of the losers. Why is there no loser selected here? Well, it's because on a CTR basis, we don't know. And we said we want to find winners by CTR. If I change this to a different metric, for example, conversion rate, then we would have automatically picked this one, because we do have a conversion rate loser in this specific ad. And if you want to get a bit more advanced, you can always open up advanced settings change your confidence levels, change some other settings as far as differences in impressions, minimum numbers of impressions, and really hone this optimization to work the way that you think about the data. But the point is, these are things you could have done manually through spreadsheets. They just take a lot of time. And every time you change the criteria, or maybe you change which campaigns you're looking at, or the look back window, all of that is going to take you a tremendous amount of time. With us, it's 1 or 2 clicks, and then you can actually do a one-click optimization and process that in the account. You could also download it and then process it through bulk sheets or through the AdWords editor. So we can do these optimizations for helping you find new keywords. So for example, we can look at the keyword Lasso, which is our methodology for query management. And we'll find queries that seem to be really good for your account, either because they have conversions or because they have a really good click-through rate compared to the underlying keyword. From here, we make it super easy to add these keywords or these queries as keywords to your account. So here we have 77 suggestions for new keywords. If I like to run broad match modified in my account, I change the match type to broad match modified, and we automatically put a plus in front of everything. Now, if I look at this and we don't actually sell bet sheets, I could remove all the text before this, and I can make this a campaign negative keyword. So even though the point of this tool is to help find new keywords, sometimes as a human, as an account manager, we're going to find things that maybe don't make sense, something we know about the business that's really hard to see purely in the numbers. So you can always come to this, and we make it very easy to change what you do with this. If you have a methodology and you like to run single keyword ad groups in exact match, we can do that too. So you say target ad group, make a new ad group for each of these queries, and we'll let you specify the naming convention of the ad group. And typically people will say just name it after the query or the new keyword. And then we'll construct new ad groups. We'll put in the ad text from the originating ad group, and we'll put in the new keyword. So in a matter of seconds, I could have created 77 new ad groups through this tool. So again, these are things you could have done them manually through AdWords, but we've taken a look at what a typical account manager would want to do. We present you with a suggestion that makes it a one-click optimization. We let you hone that suggestion to be exactly following your methodology. And then some of the advanced stuff like single keyword, new ad groups, we make it super easy to implement those, and you can literally do it in 15 seconds as opposed to 20, 30 minutes if you were going to go about it manually through the AdWords editor. Now, if you have a smaller account, sometimes you'll have to run things in turbo mode. So we do have a couple of filters that we put in to make sure that the suggestions we present to you are statistically significant. If something has 1 impression and 1 click, well, yeah, that's 100% CTR, but is that a meaningful insight? Probably not, because it's based on just 1 impression data point. And if you do want to see more of these suggestions and kind of evaluate them yourself a little bit more and not just do the one-click optimization, you can turn on the turbo mode, and we'll remove some of our statistical significance filters. And then the benefit for you is that you still get the workflow. So if you want to go through the tool and make lots of broad match modified keywords, you still have that option right here where you can quickly change all the match types of anything you're going to add to the account. So we have one-click optimizations to help find negative keywords. We can help you with managing when Google is not respecting your keyword decisions. We can help you dedupe duplicate keywords. We have a lot of bid management options, so we can help you bridge onto the first page of search results. So this is saying if we have a good quality score and we're just below the first page bid suggestion from Google, why don't we just slightly increase the bid and actually get a lot more traffic that way? So here, again, one-click optimization, very easy to do. First page bid, in this case, is 78 cents. We're going to set you just slightly above that, but you can always change this. So you could say, set me exactly to the first page bid and don't add anything to it. And there you go. So now we set it exactly to the first page bid, and then you can apply it to your account. And by the way, when you apply these changes, that's a real-time live change that we make in AdWords or in Bing Ads. So all these one-click optimizations work that way. When it comes to more sophisticated bidding methodologies, like using bid adjustments for hour of week, for geographies and devices, that's all available through here. We also have a rule engine. The rule engine lets you build cost per acquisition bid rules, return on ad spend bid rules, helps you find expensive keywords. And the way that that works is you would come in through here. In your case, you would have none of these set up, so I'll show you what that would look like in the beginning. So you would start with a page that offers you to either do an instant recipe or create a new recipe. So I'm going to do instant recipe. And then you choose from the methodology you want to follow. So for example, do a target CPA. You can choose whether you run it on keywords or ad groups or even product groups for shopping ads. We have a lot of shopping ad tools. So you choose from right there and then say that we wanted to do a dynamic look back window for keywords. We select this one. And then we put in our numbers. So we want to have a $20 cost per acquisition, at least 3 conversions before we make a decision. Don't want to set our bids below $1 or higher than $10. So we put in a couple of settings, which we can change easily later on. And now here you have the rules. So we show you exactly what the methodology is that we would go through. For every keyword of this account, we start from the top and we see, are these conditions true? So do we have at least 3 conversions across the last 7 days? And if that's the case, then we use the conversion rate from the last 7 days to set a bid based on the target CPA goal. If we didn't have enough data in 7 days, we look at 14 days and we keep going back until we go all the way to 90 days in this case. If you want to look back even further, this is fully customizable. So you can click here, you can duplicate that rule, and then you can also edit the rules. So you could say edit, and maybe we want to take a look at the average position being a certain value or some other metric. So you can really do a lot of very sophisticated things with this and make your own rules, but we give you a good starting point. And then once you built that rule, you can preview it from right here. It will tell you exactly which keywords in the account matched these conditions and what the new bids would be. And then from that page, you can apply it just like any one-click optimization. So we can also help you with budget prediction. So we'll show you what kind of budgets you're running, how much you will probably have spent by the end of a period. So in this case, we're looking at the current month or the month of June in this case. You can change this to the whole year. It will tell you how much more you need to spend on a daily basis if you want to hit your budget requirement. Notice, by the way, this actually picked it up from the MCC Dashboard. So right at the start of this call, I changed it from 200,000 to 300,000. And so to hit that goal, we would need to find another 5,800 of daily spend. You can click next to each of these and it shows you if you're fully maximizing the budget or if you were to change the budget to a different level, what your projected spend would be. This is actually based on Optmyzr's proprietary way of running this. So this is not something you would get directly in AdWords. So this is quite useful. It works across shared campaign budgets as well as individual campaign budgets. So we can help you with budgets. We can help you find placements on the display network that are too expensive. When it comes to shopping campaigns and product ads, we can help you build out the perfect structure in a matter of seconds. We can help you keep that structure in sync with your merchant feed. And we can do some really advanced bidding methodologies. So we can, across your whole data feed, we could say, how do shoes of size 10 versus size 11 sell? We will give you that answer. And if you find that size 11 shoes sell much better than size 10 shoes, we'll let you change the bids right from that page. So I know e-commerce is not relevant to everyone, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but we have some pretty amazing shopping capabilities right there. And then once in a while, we put up some new bulk operations. So if you wanted to bulk exclude IP addresses, it's kind of tedious to do in AdWords, so we've made a methodology for it right there. Anything you do, it's going to go into your optimization history. Now, this account we don't touch too often, but it would go in here. You can always download a CSV of what was changed. We also have an optimizations inbox. So this will show you a couple of the optimizations that you could go and do right now. So for A/B testing for ads, for this particular account, we have roughly 175 suggestions. So if you click on this, it'll load up the tool. It'll fetch the actual current number of suggestions, and then you can do that optimization from right there. Okay, so that is one-click optimization. Now, one-click optimization, as you probably noticed, you do have to come to the page to validate what we're suggesting, and then you can make that change. Some things you probably just want to put on a complete autopilot. That's where we have enhanced scripts. So stuff like checking that we're not advertising for broken landing pages. So basically checking, do we have any 404 error code on the landing pages? We could also check budgets. Have we spent more than a certain amount of budget for the current month? These are things that are pretty black and white type decisions. And these we do automate fully through AdWords scripts. So let me show you how this works. So say that you wanted to do the bidding and budgeting script. So you can say pause when things spend too much. This is a script that's going to prevent you from spending more than your budget. The way this works, the first time you come to it, you will make a new setting, and we'll ask you a few simple questions. So what is my maximum budget? So maybe in this account, it should have been $200,000. But here's the interesting question. So AdWords runs with campaign budgets, but we're actually letting you set an account level budget. So that's nice because now you can manage at a higher level than what AdWords allows you. And of course, AdWords works with daily budgets, but we care about a monthly budget, or we could have weekly budgets, but let's set a monthly budget. And then we could tell it to automatically pause my account if my $200,000 is exceeded at the account level for the current month. And then we can notify a couple of email addresses. And then we have some advanced settings. So the advanced settings are by default hidden, but you can open them up. So now you could do this just for items with a certain label or for certain campaign names. If you're not sure about what something means, always hover over that question mark or open up the help section on our page. That will tell you exactly what kind of settings you can put in. Now here's a cool setting. So we could automatically pause your account if it's spending more than the allowed budget for the month. But what about the next month? Well, we can automatically re-enable anything we've paused. So that's an option right there. So on the first day of the next budget period, whether that's weekly, monthly, or daily, we know when the next budget period begins, and on that date, we will re-enable everything we had paused. And the way we are able to do that is because we, of course, know which label we attached to things that we paused. Now, from here, you can save these settings, and then you get to download a piece of script code. You can either download it from right there, or you can get the MCC level of the code right there. Copy and paste that into AdWords scripts into your account, and then schedule it from right there. So in this case, you would want to schedule this to run automatically once per hour. And then what happens is every single hour, the AdWords script runs, and it says, hey, Optmyzr, for demo shirts, the advanced budgets, what am I supposed to do? So we look at any of these settings that are active, so this one, and we say, well, you can spend $50,000 for the account at the monthly level, but we're not going to pause anything. Okay, so great, the script runs, and maybe you haven't spent more than $50,000, so it doesn't do anything. The next hour it runs again. Now you spent more than $50,000, so it says, hey, we spent too much, so let's pause everything. So it prevents you from overspending. Now, next month, you've driven great performance. The client says, let's increase that budget to $60,000. All you do is you come in here, you update these numbers. You don't even have to download and reinstall anything because the next hour, the script runs again and says, hey, Optmyzr, what am I supposed to do? Well, Optmyzr says you got a $60,000 budget now. So that's what it starts to run with in real time. So that's what these scripts do. Like I said, the popular scripts, checking for broken landing pages, a lot of people like that one. So that is an alerting script. So we can check destination URLs, check site link URLs. We can check for anomalies in the account. We have some really cool bulk methodologies to help you generate bulk sheets for use with the AdWords editor. So for example, if you're going to run promotions across a whole account and you just want to take your current best performing ad for every ad group and then just make a quick variation of that that talks about the promo that you now have, this is a great way to find all of your best performers and put them on a spreadsheet that you can then edit through the AdWords editor. We have a methodology for creating ads from spreadsheet. This is basically inventory management off of a Google spreadsheet. Your campaign every single hour will look at what is on the spreadsheet. Do we have the correct ad groups, ad texts, and keywords based on the template that you've defined? Do we have the correct numerical values in terms of the price of the product, the discount we're running? And it updates that every single hour. So you don't have to worry about, constantly updating your account because this tool will handle it for you. And then we have a lot of reporting scripts as well. So if you just want to know which ad text components are performing the best, the ad template report works great for that. These are all very easy to use. So definitely install at least one of them and see what that can do for your account. So that's enhanced scripts. Let me talk about reporting next. So reporting, pretty self-explanatory. So we can help you deliver reports to your stakeholders, whether that's a client or a manager. Every account by default comes with some pre-built templates. And running the data is as easy as clicking on that. So with the template that we've built, we'll just pull in all of this account's data, and we'll give you a pretty decent looking report. Now, this is a good starting point. So you could say look at cost by region, so visualize this on a map. But this is interactive, so your client can now click on these bubbles and actually start to understand more data. Or if they want to know what's happening in California, well, it's a Google map. So as you would expect, simply zoom in on that and you'll see more granular data. This can go all the way down to the city level, and all of these bubbles do remain interactive. So lots of visualizations on here. This one's pretty complex, but you can just hover over that and see exactly which campaign we're talking about. So it's a pretty cool report. Now, the real power of the tool and Optmyzr is that virtually everything in our system can be customized. So what you would do here is you would say, duplicate that report for me. Once you've duplicated it, it becomes one of your templates. And now once you have it here, you can go and open up the edit mode. In the edit mode, we'll show you each of the widgets that is being used to drive some information. So the map that we're showing, that's cost by region. I can click on that and I can say we want to go down beyond the region level. So region, that would be state in the United States. Maybe I want to go down all the way to the city level, and I actually want to sort it based on the most conversions. So you change this depending on however you want to show that data. If you're not sure what it's going to look like, click on that preview button, and now we're pulling real-time live data from the AdWords account or the Bing Ads account. We're going to render it on a Google map. The Google map itself, this is a pretty big data pool we do, so it takes a couple of seconds, but there you go. That's what would show up on the report at this point. Okay, so we've got that. And then if you wanted to add additional widgets, like say you wanted to include quality score, well, that's one of our data insights widgets, so we can put in a chart for quality score. We can do the aggregation by day, week, or month. What if we wanted to report on a subset of the account? So maybe we want to report on quality score for branded campaigns for the last 6 months. Well, campaign and date range, these are two selectors right here. How do we change that? You go to selectors at the top. So let me actually jump to the cover page right there. So you see we currently have 2 date ranges in here. If I want to have one more date range for the last 6 months, I click to add one. I choose my date range. And then what if I want to report on a subset of the account? Well, I have a campaign selector, so I'm going to obviously have one campaign selector for the whole account. That's what everything's going to run with. But then for that new widget, I want to have it based on, like I said, an AdWords label, so my branded search campaigns. So I put that in right there. I go back to my quality score chart, and now I have these options available. So for my branded search for the last 6 months, let's do a weekly aggregation of quality score, and let's preview that. Okay, so that's exactly what would show up on that report for this client. So all of this is based around templates, and the point of a template is that you can maintain just a handful of templates that you leverage across all of your clients. Once you go into this report, so once you have this report open up, you can annotate it. So as you hover over these different sections, you can start to put in some notes to explain to the client what's happening and why you think this is important. And then from here, you can email it. You can download a PDF. You can get the link that you can share with a client. Save report snapshot. That's so I save the notes that I just put in. Or you can schedule it. A lot of people just schedule it. So they say we're going to send a report every 3rd day of the month, and we want to send it as an interactive link, and we want to send it to these people with this kind of an email message. And that's it. From there, you save it, and now it's scheduled, and it's automatically going to go to the right person on the schedule that you define. Schedule, by the way, can be as often as daily, weekly, monthly. And when it's monthly, it can be several times throughout the month. So that's how all of that works. We do have different languages available. You can choose them from here. And if you're presenting to a stakeholder, you can put this into landscape mode. That basically turns it into an interactive slideshow. You can go into full screen and do a really nice presentation without having to spend a lot of time building your own slides ahead of time. So that's how all of that works. Now, we also do have multi-account reporting. So multi-account means you can combine multiple AdWords accounts, or you can combine multiple types of accounts. You can do AdWords plus Bing Ads plus Facebook ads. You can always also integrate Google Analytics. That's very nice for reporting on some SEO and organic data, or reporting on channels like Twitter, which we don't natively support, but that data may already exist for you in Google Analytics. So if you go into a multi-account report, into the edit mode, you would see some additional capabilities. So on the left-hand side here, you see we have some Facebook Insights widgets. We have some Google Analytics widgets. We have some multi-account widgets. You can pop these open. And of course, if you don't know what a multi-account KPI would be, easiest way to do it is to just add it and preview it from right there. And then if you don't like it, just get rid of it by clicking the X. And that's it. Simple as that. So, and then of course you do want to make these things look very custom to your clients. So it's nice to have a template so you can make one report and leverage it across many clients. But the client wants to make sure that you're actually doing very custom work for them. So each client can have its own custom logo. So you can put a custom logo of that client. You can have a default fallback logo. But this way you could literally have one template for a report for every one of your clients who does e-commerce. And just for every client, you put in their own logo. So even though it's one template driving all of your reporting needs, every single client feels like you've done a custom job for them because their logo appears on the front page. Maybe their name appears on the footer of every page. So it looks highly customized. The final thing in Optmyzr that I want to show you are the account workouts. So I covered OneClick optimizations a few minutes ago. Now, if you start to understand that you like to run your optimizations in a certain sequence with certain settings, and maybe you want to have a more junior person on the team handle these for you, you can build your own custom workout. So like with most things in Optmyzr, we have a couple of examples to get you started. So if you just wanted to increase conversions, here's a workout that we can start. And rather than me going through some complicated menu system to find which optimization to do, we show you the sequence right there. So boom, 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 3 things you need to do. We load it up with the correct settings. And then as you apply the changes, we would automatically skip you to the next optimization that you're supposed to do. So this is kind of cool, but the real power of this tool is really in the customizations that you can do. So for example, this is the keyword lasso. If you prefer using the top suggestions mode or even a custom filter that you've built, we can do that too. So let me show you how. So you would go to custom workouts. Now for Optmyzr, we have a lot of them, but you would make your first one right there. And then you would say, well, I want to do the keyword lasso. So here's the keyword lasso. And so then you can tell us, how do you actually want to run this? Well, I want to run it with a custom filter that I built of 200 impressions. Okay, that's my first one, and I actually like looking at 30 days of a look-back window. And then I want to do A/B testing for ads, so let me put that as the second element in the sequence. And I like running that with a 99% confidence level, and I actually want to do it for my call-only ads. And we like to look at conversion rate as the deciding metric. So really set this up exactly the way it makes sense for your business. And then you save it, and now your team members all have access to this. And you will know there's a high consistency of how things are being done in the accounts. It's very repeatable. It's very scalable. So that is Optmyzr in a nutshell. Again, if there are any questions, thanks for typing those into the questions boxes. We'll be responding to those very soon. And then if you do have any other follow-up that you wanted to have, we're more than happy to do a one-on-one. So just email us at the support team, support@optmyzr.com. You can request a one-on-one follow-up or just ask any other questions you have. Thank you very much for taking a look at Optmyzr, and we hope you see lots of success with it.